So you've decided you're going to buy your first handgun. You've been thinking about this for a while. You watch the news. You see that crime is at a crazy rampant pace. There doesn't seem to be a place where we can feel safe anymore, maybe. Waiting on the police to show up to sort through things for us and defend us and take care of us often ends up being a futile mistake. It just doesn't happen fast enough for us to gain anything out of. Whatever the reason is, whatever the reasoning you have to have arrived at the point of wanting to decide on what kind of gun you should buy that maybe you're going to carry on you for self-defense. Perhaps you've even gone out and gotten your concealed handgun license, or you're thinking about doing it. It's a time to sort through many decisions, many questions. I went through it myself some 25 years ago when I first started carrying a gun, and as a result made several mistakes, several poor choices of guns that seemed cool and seemed to promise all these features and performances that in the long run I just couldn't make use of, and for one reason or another, and I ended up having to sell them, trade them, get rid of them. And every time it seemed like it cost me money, and then I had to go back to the drawing board. And it just seemed like that should have been a better way of doing this. So I would like to share some of those things that I've learned from carrying a gun for all these years. And also having been in the retail purchase and sale of handguns for about 13 years, of what worked and what didn't work, how I was able to help people whenever they would come in for their first purchase, and to share some of that with you all. Let's start off by saying this, that I realize every person is different. Every person thinks differently. What might be working for me and what might be important for me may very well not be important to you and may not be a factor. That having been said, there are some basic rules that we must follow, and that is, it has to be something that we can make use of. In other words, a handgun that you would buy that you don't want to carry on you because it's too big, too bulky, it just doesn't fit in the holster that you bought for it just isn't very comfortable, that gun's not going to do you any good at all. And despite what we might see and read and be told about how a holster would fit, how a gun would fit, how we would wear it, in real life, after we do it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, that heavy piece of metal attached to us, hanging from us, we'll quickly figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I would like to help you avoid some of those pitfalls. I myself have done it. I have bought holsters that seem so cool, and just in the long run, after a couple of hours, just drive you nuts. You just can't wait to get rid of them, take them off, and be comfortable again. Or the gun is just so big that it's so heavy that you just can't get comfortable standing, walking, sitting. No matter what you do, it's just this big, huge lump on your side that you don't know what to do with, how to get comfortable with. Maybe, say, for example, you wear it as appendix style, and the gun is just too big. Now it's poking you in the gut in areas that maybe you don't want to be poked in. And when you think about it, in the long run of a full course day and every day, it becomes an annoyance. And if it gets to that point and you stop carrying the gun because it's just hurting you or not fitting right or bothering you, well, then it defeats the purpose of having had that gun and having it on you, because now when you, God forbid, should need it, it's not going to be there because it just wasn't comfortable, didn't work out right. We have here before us 2 examples, and these are personal choices of mine that I carry often, very often, in fact almost one or the other almost every day. And there are holsters that I've bought myself that on occasion I will use that just seem cool but not practical. These 2 that you see here before you are the 2 most comfortable ones that I have. They're also multi-purpose. And what do I mean by multi-purpose? I have more than one gun, and if I want to carry one or the other, I would like for it to be such that I can utilize that same holster and just have a different gun in it. And there is to some extent that possibility. If you are only going to have one gun, then obviously you don't have to worry about that. My recommendation would be, buy the right holster for it, the most comfortable holster you can buy, and just use it with that gun, and you'll be fine. The main thing to remember is that it has to be comfortable. Just like a pair of shoes, no matter how cool it looks or how nicely designed it might be, it will do you no good at all once it starts getting to bothering your toes or your, the heel of your foot. You know how fast you're going to get out of that. Same thing with this gun and the holster. If it's just not fit right, doesn't feel comfortable, you're not going to use it. We should never buy a gun and then start out with the gun and us having to adapt ourselves to that gun, because it just won't work. This is a mistake many people make. They'll go out and buy this cool gun because it's got 16 shots in the magazine, and it's got this safety and that gizmo switch and that night sight and the bill of goods that the salesman delivered on us when he sold it to us. And now we're sitting with this gun that we just don't know what to do with. It just doesn't fit right. It's too big. It doesn't fit in the hand right, and that's just a big mistake. It needs to be a tool that will put to comfortable use. We need to be able to be comfortably and reliably shoot it, we'll hold it, have it fit our body, have it fit our hand, and these are decisions that we must make when we purchase that gun. We'll deal with more of the gun itself in the follow-up video that I'll make to this, and I'll label that, first gun purchase 2. And previous to this video, I made a video labeled it Handgun Talk 101. And on that one, I discussed the differences between pistols and revolvers, single action as opposed to double action, the different components, a slide, a cylinder, a chamber, a magazine, cocking of the gun, decocking the gun. And I would recommend, if you're new to handguns, that you watch that video. I think you'll find some good, useful information there. And then once having learned how the gun works, we'll better be able to decide what gun we want to buy. Here before us we have a large frame pistol. Happens to be in a .45 caliber in a Kydex holster. It's a hard plastic shell that's almost molded to the gun, and the gun slips in, and then through the trigger guard retention, the compressed portion of this trigger, it grabs the front of the trigger guard and clicks in place and holds it, and makes the gun secure to where it doesn't come out of the holster until we're ready to pull it out and use it. And then here we have a revolver in a leather pancake style holster. This is much, as is obviously visible, a much smoother, less a bulky profile than this pistol, much more concealable. This gun is, on my body at least, it's almost invisible. You won't even know I have it on me. This one, you'll almost be able to see a little bit perhaps here if you look close enough, but they both work very well. Very, very concealable. This holster in particular is a clipped Kydex holster, so in other words doesn't have any belt loops, so you just simply slip it into your belt line and clip this onto the belt, and the belt will be running over the holster, so it becomes an inside the waistband holster, is what they call an IWB, inside the waistband holster, and it presses the gun and holds it against you. It's very comfortable. This by far now has become my favorite holster to carry my guns in, and I've made a few modifications to it. I flared the ending here a little bit, and relaxed this tension, backed out the screws a little bit to where it's a little wider, and it will actually hold several of my pistols. So this is now pretty much my EDC holster. I carry this holster all the time. It's very easy to slip into my pants when I want to take it off, and I say get home, it just simply lifts out of the belt, and pants and belt still on me. This one, This holster I purchased, I want to say like 19 years ago. I've had this holster for a long time. It's made out of a very nice thick leather. It's what they call a pancake holster, and the belt essentially goes through these two loops, and most commonly will go through the loop and behind the holster, and out, in other words, the gun will be like this against your body, and the belt is running here like this. So it's an outside waistband holster, and it's very practical. In fact, this particular holster I really like. I will never get rid of this holster. This holster will hold revolvers, pistols, large pistols, small pistols. Sometimes I carry my 380. It'll fit in this just fine. It'll hold this 45 perfectly fine. It is holding right now a 44 special revolver. It'll hold a 357 larger frame. And the trick or the secret to it, I suppose, is that the opening here, the span of this holster is large enough to where, and the holster itself is flexible enough to where it'll very comfortably accommodate many different styles and sizes of guns. These are the types of decisions you must make. If you choose that you are going to buy a specific holster for each gun, or the gun that you're buying, that's fine. If not, this is part of the decision making that I do now. Will I be able to use this holster comfortably? Is it a bulky holster? Is it going to get in the way of things or not? Am I going to carry this gun on my belt? Am I going to carry it perhaps in a fanny pack? Am I going to carry it in a shoulder holster? In the case of ladies, will this gun be carried in my purse? Maybe a bra holster? Or am I going to carry it on my hip? Am I petite enough to where a large pistol like this will just imprint too much on my clothing? People be able to see that I'm carrying this gun under my clothes? Would I be better off with a smoother, rounder, more low profile revolver perhaps? And in the consideration of the two, am I willing to give up the number of shots by going to a revolver as opposed to a pistol that typically will have more shots to it? And this one in particular is 5 shots. Most of these smaller snub-nose revolvers are going to be 5 or 6 shots. A pistol obviously 7, 8 to 16, 17 shots. That is a consideration. That is an advantage to the pistol. So can I make this pistol work in my case? Do I have enough bulk to my body, and the type of clothing that I wear, is it loose enough to where this won't imprint and you won't see this? If so, then this may be a better choice. If not, and I wear tight clothes, I wear clothes at least that are not baggy and loose fitting, then hiding something like this might become a challenge. So then this choice wouldn't be available to me anymore. And so this gun may have to be a better choice for me. It is smaller, it is more rounded, it's much smoother, much lower profile, much easier to conceal. So it's decisions like that that will ultimately end up help us make that decision as to which gun is right for us, for our daily carry, for our actual use of concealing on us. So these are important factors. I want to explain something to you about the revolver and this particular holster, and there's many like this out there that's available. I think this is a good place for most people to start, and at least the holster anyway. This holster will accommodate, like I was saying, many different types of guns. In this case, it's holding a revolver. It can just as easily hold a, this full-size pistol. And in fact, for the better part of 20 years that I've had this gun on holster, this is how I've carried this gun. It's very comfortable, and for the longest time, the only problem I had with, like most people do, is when they're carrying the gun and the belt is running here, the gun tends to want to sort of flop off you, hang off you. And the weight of the gun, and since the belt is back here and just holding by these tabs, the gun wants to sort of flop like that away from you. So something that I started just practicing with, and it really works very well, is very simple, and it's something that I think anybody else can also try. Is when I put my belt on, and I'm going to pass it through the holster. Of course, the gun's going to be out of it. So what I'm going to do is, rather than running the belt this way in behind the holster, like such, so that the belt is back here, and having the weight of the gun, hang sort of like this from the belt, okay? If this belt is around my waist, the gun wants to sort of try to flop like that. What I do is I simply reverse the path of the belt. It's a very simple thing, but it works really great. And this is something that I think anybody else can also benefit from, is run your belt this way, over the holster and through the loop. Let me see if I can get this in the camera. I'm kind of doing it backwards. So there we go, like this. Now, rather than the belt being back here, is on the outside. So in a sense, it makes the holster inside the waistband, inside the belt line. And now what happens is, when you put the gun in and you put your belt on, the gun can't flop from you anymore, because the belt is pressing the gun and the holster against your body. So it holds it snug up against your body, and it makes it a very, very practical way of doing. Sorry, there we go. Makes it very practical, and this pressure of the belt pressing the gun against you keeps the gun from wanting to flop away from you, and it makes it very practical. It's snug up against you, fairly low profile. All you have to deal with is just the thickness of the gun. The holster itself doesn't add any bulk to it. So this is a very practical way of doing this. That's why I would recommend these holsters to everybody. I say at least have one good pancake holster. A nice leather one would be much better, because it holds much better. It holds and lasts much longer, as is the case here in this 20-year setup for me, and it has served me very, very, very well. We have spent some time considering guns and the holsters and the way we're going to carry these guns, because it's very important. Having not spent time here and went out and bought a very nice gun, and one like this or one like that or any other gun that we're comfortable with, if we can't get this part of it to work, where the gun becomes a very comfortable appendage to us, where we're comfortable, we can carry it like this all day long without it poking on us, without it hanging from us, without it getting in the way of our work, getting in and out of the car, driving, sitting, standing. These are very comfortable. They're right there on the side of your body. They don't get in the way of things, and they're very smooth. They're not bulking and sticking out in places. Like this, the gun becomes a practical addition to your daily wear. And at that point, you're ready to decide, okay, now that I can make it work this way, or my purse is big enough and sturdy enough to where the gun has a nice place where it can sit, and then things don't fall on top of it. I don't have to go digging through, shuffling through stuff to get to, or my appendix carry is a good enough size to where it just fits right, doesn't poke and pick at things. Then you're ready for the actual stage of making the gun purchase itself. It's been very nice bringing this video to you. Again, I will make the second part of this video very soon, in the next day or so, at which point then we will spend more time with the gun and not so much how we're going to wear it and how and where and why it would fit us. We will have past that stage. We will have known how we're going to carry the gun, so that will have told us whether we want a big gun or a small gun. Perhaps we want a revolver because it's a smoother, better fit, or we want a pistol because we want the number of shots and we can accommodate it on our hip. And then once that decision is made, we will look at the gun itself, what features of the gun we like, how it will handle in our hand, trigger pull, that type of thing. It's been very nice bringing you this video. I appreciate you looking at it. Again, as always, if you like the video, please make sure and give me a like. Press the like button. Feel free to subscribe. I will have more videos. I'm just now sort of getting the hang of how I'm going to do these things. My camera setup, my microphone setup, my computer setup, and hope to bring you many more of these. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.